Welcome back, everybody. Thanks for joining me again. I have a question for you before we start this video, and that has to do with this item here. I've been thinking lately, as I've been having to use it, could this be another sport? Is there some way that we could turn this thing, which you'll see in a minute, into something kind of competitive and interesting and make this the new sport, at least for these colder regions like Minnesota, where I'm at? Um, if you're wondering what that is, it's my handy dandy shovel. This has been a lifesaver, and it has gotten me out of many a difficult situation, and it deserves to be exalted into something special, like a national sport that could maybe even be in the Olympics someday. Let's make this into an Olympic sport. Somehow, let's put our heads together and figure this out. So hopefully you enjoy the video. Remember to like, share, subscribe. Really helps me out. Really appreciate you. Thank you. Enjoy the video. As many of you know, hockey is the national sport of Canada. In Minnesota, you might say it's about the same. We're not really a nation, we're a state, but it's basically the national sport of Minnesota. Every state seems to have their specialty, whether it's soccer, football, pool, ping pong, who knows? I'm actually not really into sports very much. That's why I'm always looking for creative ideas to make sports a little more interesting for me and a little more, I don't know, innovative. Every sport has its origin story, and typically it was born out of some kind of practical necessity. So I don't know really the history of many of the sports or where they came from. Tennis, volleyball, you name it. Everyone has a start. But one that hasn't had a start yet, as far as I'm aware, is snow shoveling. So the thing about shoveling, as you can see here, it has a very elegant grace to it. And fortunately for me in this circumstance, the snow was light and fluffy, maybe got an inch, a little less. Of course, in a more serious storm, this would be probably much more heavy. There'd be a lot more here. But the basic form and technique for removing the snow is basically the same. In any case, you have an area, and the goal is to clear that area of snow so that you can use it. So what I typically do is I like to bunch it all up. You can see my form here. I'm using the shovel in different ways. You can flip it over and kind of pull it towards you like a broom. Don't be afraid to get that shovel in different positions and things. It's a very versatile tool, and as you have seen in some movies, you can even use them to hit people over the head if there's some kind of threat to your safety or something. That's typically not something you want to do while you're shoveling. If you look at my form there, it's pretty world class. I've been shoveling since I was a child, and I've learned all the proper ergonomics. You can tell I'm bending over a little bit, but most of that is in the knees, in the legs. I'm using a lot of leg strength here. I'm not as concerned about form with this light snow, so you might see my back bending over. But the biggest criticism that people often have when it comes to shoveling is it hurts their back, hurts their lower back, and just watch. Look at it. There should be a leg kick coming up here. A little counterbalance, leg kick, boom. That leg kick is crucial for getting the snow as far as you want. If it's going to be a heavier, harder throw, that leg kick is going to accentuate, and it really makes a difference in terms of where you can put the snow, how much you can load on that shovel at once. And I like this smaller shovel size. It's a very convenient size. Things don't get too heavy, and it still does the pushing just right. Here you see I got a little rock in there. I didn't want to take my rock out of my patio area there. But you need to clear the snow away from your designated spot. In this case, my back patio. And you also need a place to put it. So I put it in the back there, and there's plenty of room for more snow in the season. Shifting to the front, This is my little driveway, filming from the garage. Again, you can see, turn that shovel upside down like a broom. Just does the exact same thing that you'd want it to do, moving the snow conveniently. Here I had a spot where my truck was parked that didn't have a lot of snow. And at first I decided to clear it away anyway, even though it was just a dusting. But eventually I said, you know what? The sun is going to hit this. It's going to melt, and it's not going to be a problem. So for those of you who are a little OCD out there and wish that I had gotten the truck spot completely, I don't apologize, because there is going to be a day when the sun shines, all will be bright and well, and that will melt away just fine. So typically, I've always used a shovel. I haven't really been a snowblower guy. The reasons for that is obviously you get a much better workout when you're shoveling, and it's just it's a tradition really, and it's a thing of beauty that I don't want to forsake using my shovel. A couple years ago, I did cave and I bought a snowblower at the end of the season. It was the biggest mistake of my life because I only used it in one snowstorm, and then the next year there was hardly any snow, and I think I used it once or twice. This year, the same fate, hardly any snow, didn't really get to use it. I used it once just to justify the purchase, but that's about it. So here you see me. You see no snowblower, just me and the shovel, an intimate connection between a man and an age-old tradition. Now, when it comes to that question of a sport, can we make this into a sport? That's a tough question. I think we'd have to get creative. We'd have to figure out a field of play. Of course, we could play this in our driveways. We could play it in our patios, maybe not in our streets. The snowplow did come, even for this wimpy dusting of snow. We did get some snowplow action and spreading out the salt on the roads. That's not something I typically do on my driveway. I think that's a little bit weak sauce. I prefer shoveling and letting the sun do the rest of the work. And if it gets a little icy, well, so be it. Learn how to balance, learn how to walk on your 2 feet like a man, and you'll be fine. So that's kind of my philosophy with snow. You need to learn to live with it, work around it, partner with it, and don't forsake your natural abilities for some convenience where you can just sprinkle some snow melt or salt around and walk on perfectly gravelly ground. That's weak sauce, and that will never be a part of the sport. So here you see me finishing up, taking some big swoops at the snow. Good form here. I would say maybe you want to bend the knees a little bit more, but like I said, it's light enough, it's fluffy, there's not much stress. So we got our field of play, we got our tool. This can't be a one-man sport, as enjoyable as this is to watch. We need to figure out something that can be a real team thing. And so what can we use for a goal line? Is there a ball that we used or some kind of puck to imitate the snow? Hockey has its advantages, but let's be honest, it's not good enough. So let me know your thoughts. Give me some ideas on how we can make this into a beautiful, bright, lovely Olympic sport someday. Thanks for watching.